We are starting right away with breaking news as we continue to learn more about a triple murder-suicide investigation in Tiffin. Police were called to a house around 6:30 last night, finding multiple people who were shot.
A scream. That's what she heard first. One scream from outside that house, and this mother went from packing boxes to watching her entire world collapse. Her 7-year-old. Her 7-month-old, the father of her oldest child who came to help her, all of them gone. And the man she thought was out of town? He was right there in that driveway with a gun. Let me tell you something, domestic violence doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's quiet until it's not. And when it's not, this is what happens. You're watching Shadowed Crimes TV. We tell the stories that need to be told. Domestic violence, toxic relationships, and the lives lost behind closed doors. No sugarcoating, no excuses, just the truth. If you're new here, subscribe and join us as we shed light on shadowed stories. Now, before we get into what went down on Huss Street in Tiffin, Ohio, you need to know who Dustin Willey was, because this wasn't just some random guy. This was somebody the whole community knew and loved. Dustin was 29 years old. He'd been working at the Depot Pizza and Tavern off and on since he was a teenager. His boss, Kelly Gallagher, she didn't just see him as an employee. She saw him as family. And when you work somewhere that long, from your teen years into adulthood, that tells you something about a person's character. He was steady. He was reliable. He showed up. But more than anything, Dustin was a father, and not just any father, the kind that poured everything into his son. His name was Wrenn, 7 years old, blue eyes, heart of gold. Let me tell you about this little boy, because his story matters. Wrenn was that kid, you know, the type energetic, couldn't sit still, always wanted to play. His mama said he would literally go all day if you let him. When he was younger and didn't have siblings yet, she'd take him to parks so he could play with other kids. But even then, Wrenn would look at his mama and say, "No, I want to play with you." So she'd climb up slides and down slides with him. That's the kind of bond they had. But when his mama got pregnant with his baby brother, Wrenn had one request. He kept saying, "It better be a boy." And when that baby came, oh, he got exactly what he wanted. A little brother named August. Now, Wrenn wasn't always the social butterfly. His mama said he used to be shy. But once he started school and got into sports, girl, that shy boy disappeared. He had friends everywhere. He played soccer, baseball, football, and he wrestled. Dustin coached most of his teams, and they both loved sports. They also loved cars. Wrenn would be in the back seat pointing out cool cars, naming the models, talking about specific parts. That was their thing. Wrenn loved his dad so much. His mama even said, "Heck, he probably loved him more than me." And I'm okay with that. They had so much in common. But Wrenn loved his mama too. He'd bring her love notes from school all the time. Little notes that said, "Love you so much, Mom." At night, he loved getting what he called chilly hugs. His mama would rub her fingernails on his back and arms, giving him the chills, and he thought it was the funniest thing. And before bed, he'd always say, "Good night, Mom. I love you. Good night, August. I love you too." See, Wrenn had just become a big brother, and he was good at it. His mama could see their bond forming as August got older. He was helpful, protective, everything you'd want in a big brother. His first-grade teacher loved having him in class. During parent-teacher conferences, she told his mama that the girls in class kept writing Wrenn love notes and she had to tell them to stop. He was smart too, reading at a level that blew his mama away. He was in the highest tier group doing more challenging work. He loved breakfast, pizza, snacks, and like most kids, McDonald's chicken nuggets. His mama said it best. He had the best laugh and all he ever wanted to do was play. Then there was August, 7 months old, the baby of the family. August was one of those babies everybody stops to look at. His mama said he was like a celebrity everywhere they went. People would stop and try to talk to him, and she'd let them because she knew how much joy babies bring to folks. He had soft cheeks, and his mama loved rubbing his hair and forehead. This baby loved orange foods, sweet potatoes, carrots, butternut squash, pumpkin, anything orange, he was all in. He was always trying to stand up, under the table, reaching for everything, stressing his mama out while smiling the whole time. When she'd come home from work, he'd be there, at the window, waiting. The moment he'd notice her, he'd get so excited and then start crying for her to hurry up and get him. Bath time was his favorite, and his mama loved dressing him like a little bear. But here's the sweetest part. When August would cry in the car, his mama would put on Montessori music, and there was this one song called Baby Beluga. Soon as that song came on, August would stop crying instantly. August was a happy baby, and she admitted she spoiled him. He loved his walker, his piano, and when she'd hold his hands and walk him from room to room, he was curious, always exploring, and she knew he'd be walking on his own any day. Some of her happiest moments? Taking both boys for walks. Just her, Wrenn, and August, outside, together. Now, here's where things get complicated. Wrenn's father was Dustin, but August? August had a different father, a man named Ryan Egan, and Egan was the mother's husband. So you've got a blended situation here. The mother had Wrenn with Dustin years ago. They weren't together anymore, but Dustin stayed active in Wrenn's life, coached his teams, showed up for birthdays, was the type of father every kid deserves. Later, the mother married Ryan Egan, and they had August together. But something wasn't right in that house. We don't know all the details. The mother's identity is protected under Marcy's law, but police said there were domestic issues, enough that she was planning to leave. Enough that she needed to get her belongings out of that house. And who did she call to help her? Dustin. Because that's who Dustin was. The kind of man who showed up when people needed help. Just 3 days before everything happened, Dustin walked into the Depot Pizza and Tavern. It was Sunday. He was picking up pizzas for Wrenn's birthday party. His boss Kelly saw him, talked to him, and everything seemed normal. A father getting food for his son's celebration. Simple, beautiful even. But by Wednesday, everything would change. The mother made arrangements to remove her belongings from the house on Huss Street. She believed Ryan Egan was out of town. That's what she thought. So she felt safe enough to go back and get her things. Dustin agreed to help her. The plan was straightforward: get in, pack up what she needed, get out. Wrenn and August were outside playing while the adults were inside gathering items. Just a normal evening. Kids being kids. A mother trying to move forward with her life. A good man lending a hand. And then, around 6:30 p.m. in the evening, everything fell apart. So there they were. Wednesday evening, around 6:30, the mother and Dustin inside the house on Huss Street, gathering her belongings. Wrenn and August outside playing. Everything moving according to plan. And then somebody who wasn't supposed to be there showed up. Ryan Egan, the husband, the man the mother thought was out of town. He wasn't out of town. He was right there. And he had a gun. Police say Egan came home and walked straight into that house. He pushed his wife out of the way, just shoved her aside. Then he went after Dustin. Now think about this for a second. Dustin wasn't there to cause problems. He wasn't there to start anything. He was there to help a woman and her children get to safety. That's it. But to Egan, that didn't matter. Egan opened fire on Dustin inside that house. Shot him. Multiple times. The mother heard the shots. She ran outside. And that's when she saw him, Ryan Egan, standing in the driveway. A scream cut through the air. That scream the neighbors would later report to police. The scream that made her realize her children were out there. Exposed. Vulnerable. Dustin, wounded, tried to get away. He ran, and Egan chased him, fired multiple shots at him while he was running. Dustin was fighting for his life, and this man just kept shooting. But Egan wasn't done. Not even close. He turned his attention to the children. 2 babies who had nothing to do with any of this, who were just outside playing, who didn't understand what was happening. Wrenn, 7 years old. The boy who loved sports and cars and his daddy. The boy who just had a birthday party 3 days earlier. The boy who wrote his mama love notes and gave chilly hugs at bedtime. August, 7 months old. The baby who loved baby beluga and orange foods. The baby who'd smile while trying to stand up everywhere. Ryan Egan shot both of them. Let that sit with you for a moment. His own 7-month-old son. His wife's 7-year-old from a previous relationship. He looked at these children and pulled the trigger. Then he went back to Dustin, shot him again, and after all of that, after destroying an entire family, after taking the lives of 2 innocent children and a man who was just trying to help, Ryan Egan turned the gun on himself. By the time it was over, 4 people had been shot on that property. 4 lives shattered in a matter of minutes. All because one man decided that if he couldn't have control, then nobody would have anything. Neighbors heard the gunshots, they heard the screaming, and they called 911. Police responded to that house on Huss Street just after 6:30 that evening. They'd gotten reports of gunshots and screaming, but nothing could have prepared them for what they found when they arrived. Ryan Egan was dead at the scene. Self-inflicted gunshot wound. He'd taken his own life right there. Baby August, 7 months old, was also dead at the scene. Gone before help could even arrive. Dustin Willey and Wrenn were still alive when first responders got there, but barely. They rushed both of them to the hospital. Doctors tried everything they could, but the injuries were too severe. Dustin died at the hospital, 29 years old. A father who'd spent his last moments on Earth trying to help someone. Wrenn died at the hospital too, 7 years old. A little boy who'd never get to grow up, never get to play another game of baseball, never get to write his mama another love note. The mother survived, physically, anyway. But mentally? Emotionally? She'd just watched her husband murder both of her children and the father of her oldest son. She'd witnessed the unthinkable. And there's no coming back from that. Not really. Police secured the scene and started piecing together what happened. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation came in to assist. This was too big, too tragic for the small Tiffin Police Department to handle alone. Here's what investigators determined. The mother had made arrangements to remove her belongings from the home following domestic issues with her husband. She believed Ryan Egan was out of town. She'd called Dustin Willey to help her move some items. While she and Dustin were inside gathering her things, the children were outside. Egan showed up unexpectedly. He pushed his wife aside, confronted Dustin, and opened fire. He chased Dustin outside, shooting him multiple times. Then he shot both children. Then he shot Dustin again to make sure he was dead. Then he killed himself. 4 people shot, 3 murdered, 1 suicide, all in the span of maybe 10-15 minutes. The Tiffin Police Department released a statement confirming it was a murder-suicide. But out of respect for the mother and because of Marsy's Law, Ohio's Crime Victims' Bill of Rights, they refused to release her name or any additional identifying information. She'd already lost everything. The least they could do was protect her privacy. Marsy's Law guarantees crime victims certain protections. Privacy, a voice in plea deals, the right to have their personal information kept confidential without their consent. And in this case, that mother needed every protection she could get. The community of Tiffin was in shock. This is a small town. The the kind of place where everybody knows everybody. And when something like this happens, it doesn't just affect one family, it affects the whole town. Make it make sense. Because it doesn't. There's no logic here. No rational explanation. Just pure violence. Just a man who decided that destruction was better than letting go. Even the first responders struggled with what they saw that night. These are professionals who've seen terrible things before. But 2 children? A 7-year-old and a 7-month-old? That hits different. That stays with you. Investigators didn't find any warning signs that this was about to happen. No police reports of violence. The domestic issues the mother had been dealing with, they'd stayed behind closed doors until they didn't. And that's the thing about domestic violence. It can be invisible right up until the moment it explodes. People suffer in silence. They make plans to leave. They try to do it safely. They ask for help from people they trust. And sometimes, even when you do everything right, it still ends in tragedy.
Friends and family say that Dustin Willey poured his heart into being a dad and he would help anyone. And that's what he was doing yesterday as he tried to help his son's mother.
We're all just kind of trying to process it, especially that it happened to children. It's even worse.
Family and friends are in shock of the tragic murders of 29-year-old Dustin Willey and his 7-year-old son, Wrenn Willey. Tiffin police say they were shot and killed along with Wrenn's 7-month-old brother during a domestic dispute on Wednesday at this house on Huss. The mother of the kids called 911.
Reports of shots fired, female screaming, a report of her children being dead. All units respond.
Police say the gunman, Ryan Egan, is the mother's husband and the father of the 7-month-old. Police say the children's mother was trying to move out of the home with the help of her 7-year-old son's father, Dustin Willey. The mother thought her husband was out of town, but investigators say Egan came home, pushed his wife out of the way, went after Willey, shooting him. Then, according to police, shot both children before turning the gun on himself. Kelly Gallagher works at the Depot Pizza and Tavern. She says Dustin worked for her off and on since he was a teen. She told me she saw him on Sunday when he came to pick up pizzas for his 7-year-old son's birthday party.
He loved Wrenn. He was a good father. He would do anything for that boy. And he just showed what it's like to be a single dad and that he was going to be a part of his life, and he did a lot with him.
And she says Wrenn loved being a big brother. She says she received a call from an employee about the murder-suicide.
It's tragic because especially when you find out it's happened to somebody who's got the biggest heart, is the kindest person, would do anything for anybody. So yeah, it's like losing kind of like losing a family member.
Now, in most cases like this, we'd talk about arrests and trials, court proceedings, justice being served. But there was no trial here. Ryan Egan took his own life at the scene. He didn't give anyone the chance to hold him accountable in a courtroom. He didn't have to sit there and face what he'd done. He didn't have to look that mother in the eye and explain why he murdered her babies. He took the coward's way out. And that's what it was. Cowardice. The case was ruled a murder-suicide by the Tiffin Police Department and the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation. Open and shut in terms of who did what. There was no mystery about the shooter. No question about what happened. The only questions left were the ones that don't have answers. Why? How could someone do this? What was he thinking? And those questions? They'll haunt that mother for the rest of her life. In the days after losing her children, the mother did something incredibly brave. She went on Facebook and wrote about Wrenn and August. She wanted people to know who they were, not just victims, not just names in a news story, but real children, her babies. She wrote, "I want to share some things about my children with you all. I think it will give me a little bit of comfort for you to know how precious they were, so you can know how much they mean to me. About Wrenn," she said. "Wrenn, my blue-eyed, beautiful boy. He had a heart of gold. He had just became a big brother. When I was pregnant with August, Wrenn used to say, "It better be a boy." I was so happy he got his baby brother he wanted. She remembered how Wrenn would choose playing with her over other kids at the park. I always felt bad he didn't have siblings for so many years. I was his friend at the parks. I would take him to parks all the time so he could play with other kids, and he would still say, "No, I want to play with you," so I would climb all over the parks with him. She talked about how he changed when he started school. When he started school and sports, my little shy boy was no more. He had all the friends. He would rage with all the kids all day if he could. He truly wouldn't stop. He was so energetic and silly. About Wrenn and Dustin's relationship, she wrote, "Wrenn loved his dad so much. Heck, he probably loved him more than me, and I'm okay with that. They had so much in common." She saved the love notes Wrenn brought home from school. Little notes that said, "Love you so much, Mom. I will cherish them for the rest of my days." She remembered their bedtime routine. He loved goodnight hugs. He used to call them chilly hugs. I would rub my fingernails on his back and arms and give him the chills. He thought it was funny. He always loved giving August goodnight hugs as well. He would say, "Goodnight, Mom. I love you. Goodnight, August. I love you too." About Wrenn as a big brother. He was a great big brother, so helpful. And the older August got, I could see their bond was forming. She talked about his teacher telling her the girls in class kept writing Wrenn love notes. How smart he was. How he was in the highest tier group doing challenging work. And she ended with this. He was so special in so many ways. He had the best laugh, and all he ever wanted to do was play. He loved breakfast, pizza, snacks, and of course, McDonald's chicken nuggets. I will miss his soft hair and him trying to steal extra hugs every night. My heart is so hot right now writing this and thinking about how truly special my little boy was. Then she wrote about August. August, my little August, Mommy's little newborn angel. He was so sweet and so entertaining I could watch him all day. He loved to be held as most babies do, and my arm would start going numb from how long I would hold him. She remembered everything about him. I miss his soft cheeks and rubbing his hair and forehead. My baby loved all the orange foods. He loved sweet potatoes, carrots, butternut squash, and pumpkin. He was a bundle of joy, and my whole family just adored him. About his personality. He was always trying to stand everywhere, stand under my table, stand and reach everything. He would stress me out and smile while he was doing it. He was so precious. She talked about their daily routine. Every time I got home from work, he would be there in the window and I would walk up and wait for him to notice me. He would always get so excited, then start crying for me to get him already. The baby beluga story. When he used to cry in the car, I would put Montessori music on, and Baby Beluga was his favorite. I swear he would be crying so hard, then I would put Baby Beluga on and he would instantly be quiet. Wrenn and I would laugh and Wrenn would say, "Put Baby Beluga on!" And he loves Baby Beluga. And then this part, which just breaks your heart. I breastfed my baby for 7 months, and I still have milk for him in my breasts. That's my baby's milk. He was a booby baby for sure. It was always so sweet to me to nurse my children. I enjoyed comforting them. She described taking walks with both boys. August was a happy baby and I spoiled him. He loved playing with his walker, his piano, and he loved when I would hold his hands and walk him around from room to room. He was a curious little guy, and I know he was going to be walking in no time. I really enjoyed taking him and Wrenn for walks. Those were some moments when I felt happiest in my life. Outside, with my beautiful children. She ended her post with these words. I could go on forever and think of every little thing, but here are some that are standing out the most to me right now. Thank you for caring about my children, my angels. Reading that, you understand the weight of what was taken from her. Not just 2 lives, but 2 whole futures. Every birthday Wrenn would never have. Every step August would never take, every laugh, every hug, every I love you, all of it just gone. And for what? Because a man couldn't handle his wife leaving? Because he'd rather destroy everything than let her go? Make it make sense. Because it doesn't. Here's the hard truth about domestic violence. It doesn't always look like bruises and black eyes. Sometimes it's control, isolation, intimidation. And by the time someone decides to leave, that's often when things become most dangerous. Statistically, a woman is most at risk of being killed when she's trying to leave an abusive relationship. That's when abusers panic. That's when they lose control. And some of them would rather commit murder than accept that it's over. Ryan Egan didn't just kill his wife's ex-partner. He didn't just kill himself. He murdered 2 children. His own infant son. A 7-year-old boy who had nothing to do with any adult drama. That's not a crime of passion. That's not about love. That's about power and punishment. Dustin Willey died trying to help someone escape a dangerous situation. He showed up because that's what good people do. He coached kids' sports teams. He worked hard. He loved his son. And he paid for his kindness with his life. Wrenn and August never had a chance. They were playing outside while adults tried to navigate a complicated situation, and they became casualties in a war they didn't even know was happening. That mother will carry this for the rest of her life. She'll never forget that scream. She'll never stop seeing what happened in that driveway. She'll always wonder if there was something she could have done differently. And the answer is, probably not. Because when someone is determined to destroy, there's often no stopping them. This case reminds us that leaving is the most dangerous time. That domestic violence doesn't always announce itself before it explodes. That children are often caught in the crossfire of adult dysfunction. And that sometimes, even good men who try to help end up becoming victims too. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship, please reach out. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Make a safety plan. Tell someone you trust. Because staying silent can be deadly, but leaving without support can be just as dangerous. Wrenn would have been 8 years old by now. August would have been walking, talking, growing into his own little personality. Dustin would have been there coaching another season of youth sports. But we don't get to see any of that, because one man decided that destruction was better than letting go. Rest in peace to Dustin Willey, Wrenn, and baby August. 3 lives that mattered, 3 futures stolen, and one community left asking how we let this happen and how we make sure it never happens again. If this story touched you, do me a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe to Shadowed Crimes TV if you haven't already, because we're not just telling stories here, we're shining light on the realities of domestic violence and toxic relationships. Drop a comment below letting me know your thoughts, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. These stories need to be told. These victims need to be remembered. And maybe, just maybe, we can help someone recognize the warning signs before it's too late. Until next time, stay safe out there.